to acknowledge that the 23rd of May is International Obstetric Fistula Awareness Day. Very catchy title. But that will be going on the 23rd of May. So any of you who have any way of sharing that message or any of the messages or the video or anything, we would love for you to do that for us. I also want to draw your attention to a SafeBirth4All human rights issue webinar focusing on insights from experts in healthcare and human rights advocacy, and that will be available on Zoom on the 29th of May at 7 p.m. Irish time. And we have information, and thank you to the Africa, Europe, Faith and Justice Network of Ireland. Many are here today. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here, and thank you for this event. So if any of you are interested, I have some more information about that for you, or Tony does as well. So it is absolutely such an honor to have Mrs. Sabina Higgins with us today. She was born in Clonrain on the Galway-Mayo border and went to school in County Mayo. She was the sixth of 7 children of John and Mary Coyne. Sabina moved to Dublin, where she worked in the Land Commission. She studied speech and stagecraft at the Brendan Smith Academy, where Deirdre O'Connell came from the Actors Studio in New York and founded the Dublin Stanislavski Studio Drama School in 1963. Sabina was one of her first students, and she was later Deirdre's bridesmaid when Deirdre married Luke Kelly of the Dubliners. In 1967, they founded Dublin Focus Theatre with Tom Hickey, Timmy MacDonald, Declan and Elizabeth Burke Kennedy, Dick Callanan, Joan Bergen, and others. Sabina was prominent in the public performances of the Stanislavski Improvisation Theatre and later the Focus Improvisational Theatre. Focus productions were modern classics from around the world. Sabina met Michael D. Higgins in 1969 at a party in Dublin in women's journalist Mary Kenny's home. In 1974, they were married in Dublin's Haddington Road Church. Sabina moved to Galway. There, in addition to working as a partner with Michael D. in every campaign and in public life for over 30 years, she maintained her involvement with theatre and community arts and with women's groups. Sabina was also very active in community initiatives in Galway and in particular in education. She was very involved in the setting up of the Parents' Council and in particular on a local and national level to promote parents as partners in education. She was chairperson for a time of the Parents' Council of the Jesuit Secondary School. Sabina has a BA in Arts and an MA in Theatre from NUI Galway. Sabina and President Higgins have 4 children, 1 daughter, Alice Mary, and 3 sons, John, Michael Edward, and Daniel. It is such a pleasure to have you here with us today for our official launch, and we invite you to come and speak with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dia. It's a privilege indeed to be and an honour to have been asked by Edward Flynn to be here with you today, to be present at the launch of this so important campaign. And I would think it would be very little known about what obstetric fistula is in Ireland, because I know we had the same thing just a few years ago on female genital mutilation and really made very good progress in getting known what it was. And I think the same probably has to happen with this, of people actually knowing what it is. And I mean, there's no point out all the things that was being said here. You've really covered completely the whole area. So I'm really just here to launch it. But I was delighted the way that Edward joined it with the Sustainable Development Goals. I've been very committed to those since 2016 when they started, and I call them the 17 Commandments when I'm speaking any place for our time, which I think they are. They are binding on us really to implement them and to reach the goals of 2030, 2050. And unfortunately, with the whole deterioration in the geopolitical situation in the world, and things have gone so bad. There's been a real drawing away from the importance of those goals of zero hunger, zero poverty, and 5 of them have to do with the empowerment of women, the emancipation of women. And there are the things happening, and in the all departments in each government, and they're bound under the United Nations thing. You know, every September, the United Nations come to New York, and they concentrate on one particular one of what the progress has been made in the countries. But unfortunately, because of this dreadful deterioration in the war, you know, particularly the one in Ukraine, that it kind of suddenly took the attention away from what was happening in the Horn Africa and all of the famine things, and on these issues. So, and of course, Sudan and all the other places where, so really, I don't know, but I just think I love to think that this is, your organization is Justice, Peace and Ecology, that I think for peace and the planet, you know, the 17 sustainable goals, but I can't see the things happening. I can't see the planet being saved without peace being brought. And the idea, I mean, it's, to me, I don't know why I should be maybe including saying this, but I think the time for war, or being such a thing as a just war, there is no such thing as a just war. Not now, with communications and with everything, and of there being the implements there from United Nations. That's why they were founded with the United Nations, and that was one of its founding things of its charter, that they would intervene and things would not come to a war, that there would be intervention. And if there was a conflict, that they, as soon as possible, they would be in. Now that is being ignored at the moment. We're just seeing them striding across the things, seeing rushing in to provide the armaments. 2.4 trillion is being spent on armaments. There's none of those problems in the world that would not be solved. They wouldn't be there. If the armaments industry and the militarization of the world is pulling back all of the ambitions of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and really it was so good a relief in the Gaza time that people felt free to come out and talk and speak in public about peace, and that there was a dampening down, that nobody was able to open their mouth in the Ukraine about peace or negotiation or anything. And really, that is the way there has to be for Gaza and for everywhere. So I feel that all these issues, particularly for women, these things are so preventable and is so possible, and that really, I think that we can all do what we can. I know that our daughter Alice Mary's in the Senate, and she's very involved with women, you know, internationally, and she's very really good. That I think we can use, and like Michael is very committed to those low and middle income groups and to Africa, and this has been a main part of the empowerment of women and their security and all of these. So I certainly, he was with me when we visited the Fistula Hospital, where Catherine Hamlin and her husband Reginald, when they came there in 1959 to Ethiopia, they had never heard of a fistula, and they came as obstetricians, and suddenly they were confronted with this. So they pioneered there a way of closing the hole, and it became a major training center, you know, and we visited it. Really, we had a great reach, and things can happen. Just by the way, I have a sister who is she went. She was there for the famine, but she the eyes. She was a nurse, and they were looking for volunteers, so she went over to help. They wanted an eye specialist, for this, the scratching of the blindness that causes that. So she went out, and she's got involved in setting up St. Louis Hospital in Addis Ababa, and it is now 1.4 million of an outreach of doing exactly what it was said, going out into the bush and bringing in the people and giving priority to the ones who can most, the prevention ones, and then the ones where you need the surgery. And that is how it is working there as well, that she has doctors from Italy and from Spain. They come over certain times of year, and they do. Now, she's trained, and all of them can do the minor things, and like you're saying, the prevention things, but for the others, that they come and they do what you call the campaigns, that they will do a big assembly. So I think there's an awful lot that the modules are there, to say, for following through with that, with the fistula, So certainly I will, in anything that I have to do with, and with Alice Mary, because works with women internationally, and she's very, very progressive in all of those things. So she will probably be able to make that, connection. And I think here, we have a big problem here of getting the breastfeeding, and it's so important for the food security, and particularly, I presume, in Africa is that, but I know the formula companies are so powerful in promoting the formula. But in fact, the food security for all kinds of things now, it's migrants and refugees, the food security on here, the breastfeeding has to be so protected. But that's the area in tying in with those as well, that our medical people here in our hospitals, that our midwives, because we have a big job of trying to get the training for all our midwives to be able to help with the latching on. So many small percentage are breastfeeding in Ireland because there aren't it wasn't really part of the medical profession or of the midwives thing. So it's back now in the midwives, but there aren't enough. But it's amazing, this was not part of the medical thing. So women, there was no assistance. So I think the same with this, that if we've looked now for it to be part of the medical training, but I think it should be very much in the training here in our Irish hospitals and in the universities, that they have modules where they talk about, because people are going back and forth, that they have modules where they're understand about the fistula as they do about the FGM, that they really, I think that would be a good help, that doctors and nurses, they all know about it and what it means, and that these, films or whatever are available, that are programs. I know from my sister, there was the St. Louis, there's a documentary going on, News Talk this weekend. There's a documentary on what she did in Tigray and in Addis Ababa. But there is a space to get a documentary done on this, and you have such a big coverage, So that's something like this, or if we could get a space on it, really, but even a radio documentary, something that gets out. So, because so much is kind of social media and those kind of podcasts to get out and get so that because of course fundraising is going to be huge. You get as you say, the money to do those and to get it recognised by the government that these is special area. So anyway, I'll certainly speak to Michael and to Alice Mary and to the group, the ones that I know are the women's, see if there's anything can be done, or just people knowing about it, so that it becomes a thing, and people then they feel moved when they know about a thing that they want to. This is something that touches a chord in them, and that's what the particular areas that they want to help in. So I feel very privileged because of my inadequacy in all these medical areas to have been asked to come here to launch this. But as a woman who is very committed to women around the world, and to men and women. I mean, I can't stand the fact that young men are supposed to be fodder, to be just gone out and killed, and it doesn't matter, up to their necks in blood and bones. They don't matter, these young men. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible that people can still think there's a justification for that. I mean, I can't believe it when I hear that, oh, it's more and more armament, that's all, where it's not the solution. So I think the getting the understanding about those other problems which are so important, the knowledge is them out there, so that the energies are directed towards all these preventable. I mean, it's just that they're so preventable, and the techniques, everything is there. So I think certainly I wish all the best to this great initiative of launching this campaign. I think it's very, very wise, and I hope you get a lot of, coverage or help, that it moves. Things start, and as I say, as Margaret Mead, he's always quoting Margaret Mead, Michael, is small things they start small. So I wish you all the very best of luck in that, and the best of love to you and all of the people that you're wanting help. It was so lovely in the hospital, in the Hamlin Hospital, to see the women who had been out in the bush and places, to see them cozy and happy in their bed, and being looked after. And they were very weak and shy, they weren't, because they were being dealt with, they were in that. But it was just so wonderful to see the redemption for them, to be there and know that they were going to have life restored to them, So all the very best to this SafeBirth4All. It's a lovely name, SafeBirth4All campaign. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
I just want you to know there were loud cheers when we found out from Edward that you were actually coming today. So thank you so much. It certainly inspired us. Well, thank you all so much. I just want to say that when I first read reports from women who had fistula, I literally took to my bed and pulled the covers over my head and cried, because I just felt so horrified and upset and disappointed. And then I pulled myself together and said, come on now, girl, get out there and see what you can do. So for all of us, there is something that can be done. And I think that's important. And I think Ken has pointed out with leprosy, one of the world's oldest diseases, that we are now seeing that leprosy can be cured. The cure was found here in Dublin in the 80s. Go us. And now it's taken that long from the cure being found in the 80s until now to still work on this. It's really quite shocking. So we know this is preventable. And I just want to say thank you so much for giving up your morning to be here with us. All of us will be here for a little longer. We have the room till 1. So if you'd like to talk to any of us, we're available. And feel free to contact us with information or questions in the future. We're really hoping, based on our jingle bells there for me, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. So thank you so much for being here today and being a committed individual. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.